Hey, this is Joe from Home Studio Corner. In this video, I'm going to show you how to use a couple of tools you probably already have to create a really interesting reverse snare, reverby sort of sound to add to your drum mixes. And at the end of the video, I've got something free for you, so stick around. Here's a song I just finished producing. It's not mixed, but I did this one kind of mixing trick because I thought it added to the production and made me happy. So listen to the snare, the drum specifically, and every other snare hit, there's something added to it. Take a listen. Did you hear that? Let me play it again with just the drums. Let's try it actually with just the drums. There's this little sort of sound happening. Here's what that sound is. It's a combination of two tracks that sound like this together. Pretty cool, huh? Here's the top one by itself. Here's the bottom one. It's just a tambourine. Combined together, it's kind of cool. Now, how do you get to that sound? I'm sure there are samples you can find that would do it. I like to create them myself when I can. So what I do is go find a snare drum hit. So let's go up to the snare, and let's just find one that sounds halfway decent. There, that's great. There is way too much reverb on that. Hang on. Okay, that sounds more reasonable. Let's just take that little snare hit. We're going to copy it. We're just going to paste it way out here on the far side of the session, okay? It's got a little cymbal in there. That's kind of cool. Okay, so now what I want to do is get some big old reverb on this thing. So that sounds kind of cool. I'm going to bring in the tail on this thing, and then I'm going to add it to this this big plate reverb that I've got in my session. So that sounds kind of cool. Now what I'm going to do is take that, I'm going to print that whole sound and bring it back into a new track. So what does that even mean? I'm going to take the same feature I would use export mixdown, except instead of exporting my entire mix, I'm just going to export this little section that I marked off with my loop points. So it's just a couple of bars. I'm going to export it out and import it back to a new track. Like this. Now, down here at the bottom, this is the new track that we've created. It sounds like this. That's pretty cool. Now, what would happen if we reversed that track? So Studio One lets me reverse by just hitting Command R. Every DAW I've used has some sort of feature to reverse, so figure out what it is in your DAW. But here's what that sounds like. That's really interesting. Now, what if I added reverb on top of that? So the same reverb that's coming in, what if I added that on the tail end of this sound? Well, that's pretty close to the sound we had there. What if I added a spring reverb instead? Kind of cool, kind of different. I'll stick with the plate for this. That's pretty cool. Now, it's really dark and not quite the sound we want, so let's EQ that a little bit. That is kind of cool. Now what we can do is if we don't want to have that reverb running all the time, we want to have this as just its own sample, we can do another bounce from here. So we can do export mixdown. We can call this REV snare for reverse snare, all the same settings, but now it's going to export the same loop spot that I just set, import that to a whole new track. So we're essentially printing things down like they used to do in the olden days, but now we have a track that sounds like this. Now I can do whatever I want with that. I don't have to adjust reverb, EQ settings. I've got this track. I can come in here and just drop it at anywhere in the song, and it'll just fit right in. As long as I line it up to the right beat, we've got ourselves a reverse snare sound with a big old reverb sound on it. So combine that with something like a tambourine hit, which I did earlier, and you end up with this super gnarly sound. Then I just sent both of those combined together to a bus with a little bit more reverb, and all in, it's a beautiful thing. It's not super obvious. You could mix it super obvious. It's a little more on the subtle side, but it works really well, and I love what it adds to the mix. It makes that snare drum a lot more interesting. That's it for me. Thanks for watching. Hope this gave you some ideas for your productions. If you want more ideas on how to get better at mixing, how to develop a process that gets you better mixes in less time, you need to hop on over to 5stepmix.com. See, 5stepmix.com. Enter your email address here, and I'll send you this really short but powerful little guide that'll help you develop a system for your mixes that makes them both better and faster. Who doesn't want to get better at mixing and do it in less time? That's it for me. Thanks so much for watching. I'll see you on the flippity flip.